fancy halls and wearing cool shirts, I'll go ahead and give you an introduction to who we are in case you were wondering, for those of you that don't know. We are a Sungard Solutions partner that focuses exclusively on developing add-on products for OmniPlan and OmniPlus. So our goal in life is to help you leverage your investment in Sungard and say, okay, we bought Plus, we went with the market leader, now what? So we fill the arena outside of the core record-keeping system. We let Sungard focus on the regulatory and the record-keeping side of the equation, and we do most of what circulates around it, everything from voice response, internet access, data conversion, plan setup and management, and remote data collection. And we have various products for each of those arenas, and I'll talk briefly about each of those during the session. The purpose behind this particular session is to introduce you to our organization in general, who we are, what we're up to, what we have today in production, and what's coming down the road over the course of the remainder of this year in 1998. To give you an introduction to the organization, we were formed mostly of ex-Sungard employees. We went into Benton somewhere about 3.5 years ago with the primary motivation to create add-on products for Sungard's record-keeping system. We maintained a relationship with them. They act as a value-added reseller on our behalf, so when you purchase our products, most of the time you will go through Sungard to do the purchasing. We do all the post-sale support, so when you actually have questions about the product after you purchased, you'll talk to us, and you'll go to love us, and we'll spoil you, and you'll expect the same level of support from Sungard, too, over time. Now, I'd like to introduce David Grubman. He's the director of most of our PC product development, including import, remote, and Plan Wizard. We'll make this a relatively informal session. If you have questions along the way about what I'm saying or what I'm not saying, feel free to stop me and say, what's going on, what's our overall direction. And I think we'll go ahead and get started on the products themselves so you get a feel for the history. Our first product when we started the organization was OmniImport. OmniImport's purpose in life was to allow business analysts or non-technical personnel to do data conversions, both in the arena of bringing existing plans from existing external record-keeping systems over to OmniPlan and OmniPlus, and to convert recurring payroll information into OmniPlus or OmniPlan-compatible transactions. That product has been on the market now upwards of 3 years. Install base of over 50 organizations, probably the most mature of our offerings. I would consider it a great success. A lot of people talked to us. We had our first users committee yesterday, a lot of energy and enthusiasm. We had thought we had gotten it about 100% right. Learned we were wrong. We have a wish list about 4 pages long, so we're working on that.
There are no small items. In regards to, I don't mean to interrupt you, but the user committee, we had a great turnout for user committee, yesterday. We had a great turnout. We got a lot of valuable information. But if any of you are interested in participating, we would greatly appreciate it. The group is around 18, and we'd like to get the group a little larger, 20, 25, maybe 30 people, so that we could guarantee a good turnout for all of our sessions. The products that we develop only continue to grow with your input and your assistance. We're here to service you. And if we can get more involvement from you guys regarding the involvement of the user group, it would help us greatly, and in turn help you succeed in what you do.
I realize that as you come up with challenges, opportunities in your record-keeping business and using OmniPlan and OmniPlus, outside of the record-keeping itself, chances are we will be developing that solution. So if you have ideas or concerns or something that you would like to see developed, feel free to talk to us. That's where we get most of our product development ideas from. Most of the things we've ever done have been as a result of direct client interaction. They have said, well, have you guys considered doing this or that? Some of the things we came up with on our own, but most of them, even product enhancements, have come direct from clients. Once again, OmniImport is our data conversion tool. A lot of existing clients here are using Import. Our second product was OmniRemote. OmniRemote's purpose in life is for data collection from your plan sponsor sites, for small to medium-sized plans. The concept there is you're getting information from your plan sponsors right now, either through paper, or they send you diskettes or tapes or Excel spreadsheets or something. Import solves half that equation. It says, okay, we'll take whatever information you got in whatever format they gave it to you in and help you get it into OmniPlus format so you can load it into the record-keeping system. The problem there lies in the fact that if they send you incorrect data, they send you a bunch of enrollments, 50% of which didn't have the birth date or a hire date on it. It starts this endless cycle of, please send us good information, please send us good information. What OmniRemote allows you to do is send a data entry application that's easy to use out to the plan sponsor site. They key in the transactions at their end, and once you get that information, chances are it's correct if you've done your data validation customization correctly. So it's a little more proactive response to the data collection issue. Import says, okay, we'll take what you have and do our best effort to bring it into the record-keeping system. The remote says, okay, we'll empower you as the plan sponsor to key in your own contributions, enrollments, and maintenance, and send them to us so we don't have to do anything with it. Of course, it's not always as easy as that because chances are it's going to be very hard to convince your plan sponsors to do any more work they're already doing. The way we've seen that addressed is multiple ways. One is mandatory. That says, or in order for us to take on your business at the price point that we're offering you, you have to use this tool because we cannot do business in a paper environment. That's option A. Option B is offering a financial incentive that says, please, please, please use this. We'll give you a price discount if you do because it costs us too much money to process paper. And option C is you use Omni Remote internally, still continue to take paper in, but use the data entry capabilities that Remote already has because it's good at that. Omni Station, Sungard's administration tool, is not geared for batch large volumes of contributions or loan repayments. It's very cumbersome to go through the screen at a time and earn all these contributions. Remote was written to do large volumes of contributions and loan repayments at the same time. So we've seen clients use it in that context as well. Hopefully over time you will be able to convince some number of your plan sponsors to use the tool and send the data to you in the format you expect. That's our hope, but we don't always get there. Our most exciting technology, what you will hear about most at this user conference, is OmniWeb, which is not our internet product, it is our internet platform. We have started out in OmniWeb building first the participant interface, which is the most natural thing to think of when you think of internet access. You say, okay, what can we do to enable the participants to manage their account across the internet? Makes a whole lot of sense, correlates to voice response. Nothing magical seems to fit into the whole scenario. The next step in the internet equation is plan sponsor access, to give your clients access to the information at a higher level, to do things like ad hoc querying and reporting, do things like participant browses and searches, more administrative level functions than a participant would be able to do. Next step in the equation, CSRs. So the screens that they use are very close to what a participant would see across the internet. It's very customizable, very easy to administer from an IS standpoint. It makes a lot of sense for a large volume of CSRs. We talked about Omni Remote for data collection. It makes a lot of sense to deploy that technology across the internet and have a remote web concept. So for those clients or plan sponsors that have internet access at their site in their human resources department, give them a way to key in their contributions and do their participant maintenance in real time, and that eliminates all the downside to paper collection, even receiving diskettes. It's better than all the other options combined. That is the way to do it, is to take your transactions, empower them to put them directly into Omni Plus file folders. They get processed and picked up nightly, and the administration there is minimal compared to all the other things we've discussed. Those are the types of things we're already looking at. And the biggest piece of the internet strategy right now, other than things that we have already developed, lies in the arena of participant education. Three pieces to that equation. Participant education, telling them about 401k plans, saving plans, and why Social Security is not good enough, all the things we've been trying to do for years. Piece two is the forecasting and projection. Right now we have a unique opportunity to allow participants to do what I would consider an instantaneous forecast or projection. The reason is we have their account information now. All the top tier mutual fund managers have developed these retirement, some of your organizations may have done so as well, diskette-based or CD-ROM-based forecasters that you send to the participant, and they spend half an hour to keep all their information that says, here's my salary, here's my deferral rate, and what will happen if I do this and that, and how much money will I have. With the internet, we know everything there is to know about the participant in order to make those projections. So if we have an active and eligible participant, we can say, click here, and based on your salary, your deferral rate, your allocation percentages, and the historical pricing for the investments that you're investing in, here's an estimate of what you will have at retirement. And even better, if you were to increase that participation rate by 2%, here's what you could have. And this is the key. Once you have their attention, it's like, okay, you've convinced me I need to increase my participation rate by 2% because my employer is matching anyway. We can let them change it right then. That's the downside to the printed education materials we've been sending out that says, okay, we did a great job, we convinced them, but by the time they made it back to the phone or to call the CSR or send a form in to enroll, you've lost their attention already. 9 times out of 10 you'll miss them. You're not going to keep their attention long enough to actually make them do it. On the internet, since it's a real-time transaction environment, once you've made the compelling case that says, okay, we've convinced the participant to enroll if they're not participating, or increase their rate if they are participating, let them do it right there. make it easy.
How many organizations have developed the software or shipped out software for participant education like you described? Is anybody looking into the web technology to deploy what we described? So the organizations see the need exactly.
That is the future. We start off with enabling the participants to do the conventional things. That's what our participant access solution within OmniWeb allows you to do. And we'll talk about why OmniWeb is a good strategic platform as far as OmniPlus is concerned. But overall, outside of our product offerings, it is a good idea to have internet access for participants. You already believe that now. Chances are, it is not necessarily mandatory to have a solution live in place today, but it is very important to have an internet strategy in place. So when clients ask you from a marketing perspective, what are you doing for internet access? Regardless of how many participants would actually use it, you need to have a strategy in place or a correct answer in place that says, yes, we're looking at it, here's what we're doing, here's our implementation schedule, we'll have it by second quarter 98, or we'll have it by the end of the year, or whatever your answer is. So if you're not already looking at our solution or someone's solution or developing in-house, you need to really start today. By this time next year, I believe that internet access for participants will take the same evolutionary path that voice response did when it first started. That says, yeah, voice response is really a nice-to-have kind of thing, but how many participants are really calling to check on their balances? The answer today is I don't think you would run a record-keeping system without voice response. Internet access will take the same evolutionary path, but at a much more accelerated pace with the technology the way it is today. And the way record-keeping is very technology-driven. So it's important to have an internet strategy, whether you choose us or choose your inside product. Hopefully we'll do enough of a convincing argument to choose us, but it's important to have some kind of methodology and some ideas in place as to where you're headed with respect to the internet. When we talk, or when I talk to our clients about internet access, I usually see two light bulbs go off. The first light bulb is, yes, it's perfect for participants to access. They've been yelling about it for months now. Everybody asks for it. Can we do something today? The second one is, yeah, the participants are screaming, but we can hold them off. Plan sponsors have to have immediate access to the information. We can't hold them off any longer. They have to have access. We need to do that today. We'll wait on the participants later. That's the reason we've chosen to develop those two particular access methods within our internet platform right now. The reason we can do what we do is because we are an OmniPlus focused software developer. We don't do outside record-keeping systems. We don't do Trustmark. We don't do anything else. We understand OmniPlus, A, because of our background, B, because of our relationship with Sungard, and C, because we are very focused, and that's the market we're after. So we're not trying to sell a generic internet solution to a record-keeping community. We're developing a very focused solution for OmniPlus and OmniPlan clients. That's our intent. So we have a very narrow audience, but we do that particular job very well for that very reason. Yes?
Is there a dimmer switch that opens those up?
The dimmer switch?
You're talking about the light bulbs.
Yes.
How is the perception of security issues today?
Security is the largest challenge we face for multiple reasons. One is
A dimmer switch.
It's the largest perceived problem.
the perceived problem is a real problem. If they see it as a problem, then the problem exists. So, and we spend a considerable amount of time talking to our clients about internet security, both with respect to internet technologies in general and with respect to OmniPlus. The answer is yes, it's reasonably difficult, and yes, it's very, very important, but it's also important to develop these solutions. You can't say, well, the internet is not secure, we're not going to do it, and sit back and watch the rest of the world move forward. There is a lot of precedence. What we're doing here is not treading any new paths. Banking is going online on the internet. People are doing share trading across the internet. In our context with respect to record keeping, currently the worst possible scenario is the fact that someone will move money from fund A to fund B. You don't let them get money out. Yes, they may be able to see something, but that is the absolute possible worst that could ever happen across the internet today. And there are much bigger, much more impact items that are live on the internet today as well. But there's nothing from a security standpoint that cannot be resolved with a proper understanding. It takes various amount of times based on how paranoid your auditors are and based on how involved your IS department already is. Chances are you may already have in-house internet developments that provide information in other arenas. So maybe there's some precedents already. We've seen that as well. But once again, the problem exists, but it has to be solved. I mean, I don't think you have a choice. It's just a matter of time before you're forced into it. So you need to look at it today or tomorrow. It's not going to go away.
Curious if market.
Yeah. And that is our tough, the hardest part from your standpoint is keeping marketing in rein. Is, you know, I go in and I talk to clients about OmniWeb, internet strategy, and generally we have representatives from various areas within the organization, including marketing, record keeping, participant communications people, and all those kinds of people. And you know, before my session's already done, the marketing guys are out there selling internet access for record keeping before the session's even done. So and for that very reason, it's important to resolve the security issues early on, and they are solvable. We have clients live today on OmniWeb that are taking participant queries, taking full transactions. It happens. I mean, it's not like, and these are, you know, reasonably, I would consider committed individuals, and they went through through all the gyrations of asking all the questions. It wasn't easy, but they got there. Now, my personal interest, of course, is on the internet strategy, where things are headed with the internet in all kinds of arenas, for instance, participants and sponsors in education, forecasting, and remote access. But in the immediate context of Omni Plus, there are also other opportunities outside of internet development. A couple of ideas, and we've discussed this in the beginning of this session as well, is the challenges that we face, or you face in Omni Plus. Some of them are relatively obvious. One of them, in my opinion, is calculator expertise. A lot of what Omni Plus does, and a lot of the power that Omni Plus has, is centered around the Omni Plus calculator. With that powerful feature comes what I would consider a significant learning curve. And what we hope to do is let you keep the good side of the calculator, the powerful, the flexibility that it has and adds to Omni Plus, but make it a little easier, a little more approachable, because chances are you maybe have one or two calculator gurus in-house, and hold on to them if you do, because they're a scarce commodity. But it shouldn't be that way. We want to be able to make reporting, creating a participant statement or a custom plan sponsor report, make that much more approachable and graphical. Not everyone needs to be a calculator wizard in order to get information out of Omni Plus. There have to be better ways to do that. And is that a problem, or is this something that we just perceive as a problem?
Because we don't understand calculators, do we just perceive this as a problem?
It's a problem.
Is it? Now, the thoughts that I had originally on our first mode of attack on this is the fact that there are two ways most people use calculator and Omni Plus today. One is for reports, getting output out, either extracts or human consumable reports. And the other is creating eligibility rules and the actual business logic behind the calculator, the control transfers and control withdrawals and things like that. We've chosen as our first pass to take a stab at the report facility. A is because it's easier, we understand it more. And it's much more approachable from a graphical standpoint. What we envision happening is developing a graphical tool that you can do a drag and drop report definition that says, okay, I want to create a participant statement. Here is a toolbar with all the plan elements and participant elements. Drag and drop those elements onto the report, change whatever formatting you want, and generate the calculator code that would produce that report on the calculator. There are multiple advantages to doing that way. The first one, the most obvious, is the fact that way you stay away from calculator unless you absolutely have to use it. So people that are business analysts, new hires that are relatively inexperienced with calculator that have never seen it, can still get meaningful work done. The second side of it is as calculator evolves, or maybe calculator gets replaced with a more robust language over time, you have not invested a whole great deal of energy or a lot of time in this calculator format that then has to be migrated. If we have it in this report definition format, over time, we can have that same product or that same report definition generate whatever that new language is. Because now we have a knowledge base and something we can maintain and propagate to different targets. Calculator, of course, is the most meaningful today because that's what's out there. But if we need to say have the same report comply to a different format, either within Omni Plus or some other feature of Omni Plus 8000 that comes down the road, we can capitalize on that information. It's the same concept behind import that says instead of burying all this information, all this business talent, somewhere where it's inapproachable in a program somewhere, let's see if we can make it maintainable so when you look at it, you know what's going on. You can keep changing it easily, and if the environment changes, the technology on the back end changes, we can stay in sync with that and hopefully deploy it and just make it a single click and say, okay, we'll just save it in a different format now. Because the knowledge is all there and it's all approachable. And that overall architecture is what we like to do for most of our products, is say, yes, we realize that we're very focused on Omni Plus, but like all things, the servers change. Things change on the back end. We don't want to put a lot of energy in something that's closed that we won't be able to get the information back out. That applies, and we'll talk about this in a bit as well, in our Plan Wizard product. When we do a plan definition, I would rather not bury all the plan definition information within Omni Plus. First of all, because it will store all the plan-related information you probably want to track. And second, as you move between versions of Omni Plus, it's much easier with the standard centralized open architecture format, so you can propagate different systems as those opportunities come up. Any questions? I'm talking really fast. I'm going and moving relatively quickly. Let me take some internet questions first. I'm sure that.
Well, I have a general question.
Okay.
It seems like most of the time you refer to supporting plus or it's all the time around plus. What if you're on plan? I mean, is it, are you as adaptable?
Let's take a step backwards. We have two categories of products that we develop. One is what we would consider standalone products that require really no connectivity to the back end. For instance, Omni Import takes data in the flat file or Excel format and creates a transaction file. It doesn't really need connectivity to the record-keeping system in real time. In that context, we support Plan, Omni Plus, and Omni Pay. It's not difficult. It's no big deal. Omni Remote is the same way. It's a flat file. It's a standalone product. You can take that flat file transaction and move it into whatever record-keeping system Plan or Plus you happen to be using. As we get into the arena of what I would consider live access information gateways, that's when it becomes more of a challenge. For instance, when we talk about OmniWeb was developed around this communications architecture, which coincidentally I helped develop when I was a Sungard employee, but around this communications architecture that opens up the Omni Plus server API and allows us to do this client-server mechanism, which is what OmniStation uses. Unfortunately, the API that Omni Plus has is not the same. There is an API in OmniPlan as well. When I say API, I mean an applications programming interface, this layer of communications that allows us to communicate with the record-keeping system from the PC. OmniPlan has that, but since it was in its very early stages, it's not as comprehensive as what we have in Omni Plus. So we can do certain things. For instance, we can do most participant type information within OmniPlan, because that level of functionality exists in the communications layer. What we cannot do in OmniPlan is a full-fledged administration tool, because that communications layer is not complete enough to support that. And the reason being is OmniPlan was geared around CICS and character mode screens, and that was the administration tool that was OmniPlan's focus. When we move and shift over to Omni Plus, OmniStation is the administration tool. So by nature of the OmniStation's communications layer, anything that Omni Plus supports, that Station can look at, that same communications layer is what we use for all our live access solutions. That is why we've chosen to take that path. When we develop our internet platform, we're using the same conventions that OmniStation uses. So from a technological standpoint, there is nothing Omni Plus or OmniStation can do that we could not deploy across an internet platform. It's a matter of picking and choosing of the 18,000 things that Station supports, what of them are meaningful in a remote environment situation. For distant access and meaningful, plan stock is meaningful, but over time we'll expand that list of things that we do across the internet.
You're a plan customer, I think to respond to your question, our web technology goes against plan as well as plus, and our phone technology currently goes against plus, and anticipated running against plan at some point. And by implementing our technologies now, by bringing in-house, do you anticipate going to plus?
Well, we're
That's a little
events right now.
Okay, well at least you're two events.
Let's start.
At least you brought the point up for discussion. If you are interested in this technology, it provides a great migration path to plus. You can bring in these technologies to run against plan, and when you've got all that infrastructure and all that technology in place, you can make the switch from plan to plus behind the scenes, and the interface in relation to the customer never changes. By having the ability for the application-oriented platforms, you have that stability or that consistency and presence to the customer.
Now, the way we approach this without getting too technical is we saw this split in our audience last year. Our original focus when we first started our development efforts a couple of years ago were to focus on plus. And the news was that everybody's going to move to plus in the future. Let's create a driving force and go Omni Plus, which was a great thing. But the reality of the situation is, and Sungard supports OmniPlan as well now. The reality of the situation is we do have this large audience or this large OmniPlan community that I don't want to isolate, both for marketing reasons and because those same OmniPlan people, if we get them now, or when we switch over to plus, chances are they'll stay with us.
I like more plan customers.
There are plus today. The way we approached it, when we kind of hedged our bets last year, what we did is develop this independent communications layer we call EBS Connect. All our interfaces, OmniWeb, our voice response, our CSR application when we get there, all interface with this generic communications layer. So what happens is OmniWeb says, okay, here's a participant number, go get me their participant status or their address information. EBS Connect then says, okay, I'm running an OmniPlan environment, so I will use this API, talk to OmniPlan, get the information, and give it back to you. So OmniWeb, really for all practical purposes, does not know who it's talking to. And the beauty of that solution is the fact that when you do move over into OmniPlus, it's a matter of literally, and we can demonstrate this in the back playground there, is flipping the switch and say, okay, OmniWeb, you are now in OmniPlus land, you're going to ask the same questions, and we're going to get the answer just from a different place. And,
I'm sorry.
go ahead.
Go get
Yes, you can. And the way you do that, in both our voice response and our web solution, the challenge there lies in the fact that until we know who the participant is, we don't know where to look. For instance, right now you can go PHI2 as long as you know where to go to start with. So what we do to tackle that problem is we give them a unique path based on the system. Let's say you have 50 plans that are on OmniPlan, another 100 plans that are on OmniPlus. From a voice response standpoint, you can give them 2 individual numbers to call for voice response. Based on the number they call into, we would know what backend server to use. That is the cleanest solution to that problem. Web access is the same way you give them a specific web page to go to for these 50 plans and for these 50 companies, and another page to go to. It's not the cleanest solution, but it's simple.
If there's somebody interested in doing that, we can also go into there are other technology options we have. We can develop tables and say what participants are in what plans, so the customer has a consistent number.
That's a real clean approach to the program and how the communication type.
Right, because if you change the number, that it's kind of defeats the purpose, but we can offer them the same number. We can ask one system what it is, and we can ask the other system what it is, or we can develop
Or keep a table on the server itself.
Well, I guess I was thinking that, I mean, very often you don't just one man a day cut over.
Right.
Playing
Right, there's going to be a
So
transition
you're going to have a
process.
transition period where you want to make it as simple as possible.
Right.
What about multiple file sets?
Multiple file sets are a necessary evil in today's environment. That's the best answer I can give you. But Sungard has taken what I would consider extensive measures to make their cross-file set capabilities better. And really, I'm not saying it's not my problem, but the true solution lies in the record-keeping system that says the interfaces, we can develop some kind of, pluggy solution to figure out the results of that, but we would have to replicate that logic in web and phone and CSR and all the way across the board. I would rather the solution be fixed and done once on the record-keeping system so the interfaces don't have to worry about it. Sungard has already started development on that. As far as
Well, no, I know that, but I just was wondering, I mean, so essentially what you have is that the phone number again or a table to point
a table to point to the file set or the individual. Let's say you have multiple Unix boxes or something that you're splitting your load up. That would be the determining factor as to which TCP/IP port you need to know where to go to get the information.
We really would like to put
full block, not.
Now, when talking about PDS Connect, I mentioned access to OmniPlan and OmniPlus. With the understanding that the feature set on both is not the same because the client-server architecture of OmniPlan is not as comprehensive as OmniPlus. The participant information is there, we can do voice response and we can do web. We can't do everything within the OmniPlan environment. The third back-end system that we support, and I'm going to give you a bunch of caveats after I get done saying this, is an extract file relational database solution. But our overall direction as an organization, and my personal urge is to please stay away from extract solutions unless you have really, really good reasons to go to them. I have talked to a number of clients that have done extract solutions, started them years ago for really good reasons at the time because there were no better ways to do it. Today we have better answers. Extract files create a lot of problems, a lot of administration headaches over time, especially as just the load of participants on your systems increase over time, and keeping the data synchronized and all sorts of multitude headaches.
The whole extract thing is kind of a dichotomy of what we're presenting. We're giving you the ability to go live against the data. That's the biggest value we have to offer you, is the ability to go live against the data without the data extracts.
How do you deal with the concurrency thing?
Concurrency of?
The extract?
I mean, if you've got to do batch processing while you've got this 24-hour system.
That question comes up in every session we have. And the best,
So,
the best answer to that is, first of all, the problem is very limited and it's to transactions only. Inquiry access usually does not cause you much file sharing or contention issues. Having said that, let's say on the transaction side, usually the biggest problem is you don't want participants or whatever interface is writing transactions to your lead-trend file during your batch process. That is the core problem. I won't say ideal, but the best solution I've heard so far, that is in production at various client sites today, is to have what they call a secondary or shadow B-trend. What happens in that context is, during the day, when participants are coming in through voice response, coming through the internet, and writing transactions, they're writing it to this secondary B-trend file. Right during the batch process, before the actual transactions are processed, we copy that secondary B-trend to the primary, run them through, and keep right on going. That way there's a very small window of time, usually 3 to 5 minutes, of the time it takes to copy the file that your system is down. Other than that, you're 24/7 shot.